All right. Hoy estamos estudiando a Jacob en Betel. Today we're studying Jacob and Bethel. ¿Dónde dejamos la última vez? Where did we leave off with Jacob the last time, Laura?
That he
What was the last stunt Jacob
well,
pulled?
he did some, I don't know the word, but he did something bad to his brother.
Okay, this is something bad to his brother. Monchichi, something better?
He deceived his dad by faking he was his brother to get his blessing.
Engañó a su hermano, actuando como si él era Esaú, se cubrió de cuero, de pelo de cabra, para que el papá, porque el papá estaba ciego, pensara que él era Jacob, y digo Esaú, y le dio la bendición. Y entonces cuando Esaú entró llorando y le dijo, no hay nada para mí. He asked, is there anything left for me? And there really wasn't. And Jacob did a little makeshift little blessing there, but it was not nowhere near what he promised Jacob. Esa bendición ni se comparaba a la bendición que le dio a Jacob. So we leave off there, and now Jacob has to run away. Jacob le dice a su mamá, tienes que irte, porque Esaú lo iba a matar. Esau was going to kill him. So to protect him, and also there was another reason why he was sent off. Hubo otra razón porque los padres de él lo mandaron fuera, Brittany, para conseguirse una esposa, para buscar una esposa. Él tenía que buscar una esposa, he needed a wife. And so they sent him off to where? Or to whose house? Walter. ¿A la casa de quién? Labán. ¿Quién era Labán? Who was Laban? Laura? Rebecca's brother. It was his uncle. And on his way there, en su camino allí, he goes to lay down and he makes this pillow out of stones, because to sleep in those days out there was rough. It was not like camping out with a tent. Has a little air conditioner, a little fan, a portable fan, or a tent with flaps and a mosquito net. It wasn't like that. Or flashlights. It was in that complete outer open. Right? Outdoors, you are exposed completely to the elements. No era como ahora que habían campamentos de una tienda que podía poner así, una casa de campamento con linterna y con un ventilador. No, él estaba a la intemperie. Y entonces se acuesta y usó como almohada unas piedras. Now, there is a point that it makes in the book, and I don't know if it makes it in your book, but it's very good. Esau was the outdoorsman, not Jacob. So maybe Esau would have done better, and Jacob now has to make the bed that he made. Pun intended. Yes, there is a pun intended there. In other words, it's a play on words. He actually has to sleep on the bed that he made. He made that bed that he created for himself. He has to be on the run for like almost all his life. He's on the run. He's always looking over his shoulder because his brother's going to kill him. Okay, Esaú era el que le gustaba, él era el cazador, él era el hombre de los dos hermanos que le gustaba estar afuera. Si hubiera sido Esaú en esta circunstancia, a lo mejor hubiera sido más fácil para él dormir afuera, porque él estaba acostumbrado a eso. Pero Jacob no. Ahora Jacob está pagando, ya empezó a pagar por lo que él hizo. Y eso es lo mismo que sucede en la vida. A lot of times your actions, not a lot of times, every time you have actions, they produce consequences. Trust me, they will. Whether it's now or later, but there will be consequences for that. And so it begins. And he dreams a dream. Y tuvo un sueño. What was the dream? ¿Cuál era el sueño? Monchichi.
I'm gonna take a wild shot here.
A wild guess?
Yeah, because I didn't do the list.
Alright.
It wasn't a stair, and to the stairs there were like angels lining up to heaven.
Going up and down.
Right.
Él tuvo un sueño donde había una escalera y los ángeles subían y bajaban de ahí, de Dios. Y a la cima de la escalera, at the top of the staircase was God. Estaba Dios. Y Dios decía, yo soy Dios tu Señor, el Señor y Dios de tu padre Abraham, el mismo Dios de Isaac, y la tierra en donde estás acostado, a ti te lo voy a dar, y será tu simiente, será tu semilla.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hermano, yo me voy a quedar con el mío,
Okay.
porque tengo que contar los puntos.
Okay.
Gracias. So he had this dream, and God is at the top of the staircase, and God says, this is going to be, I'm the Lord God, your father, the father of Abraham, the father of Isaac, and this land that you're sleeping on is going to be yours, and the seed of it is going to be your seed. Now, this is a man that just did a great sin, but God had made a promise. See, God is a man, God is a God, he's not a man, God is a God of his word. Dios es un hombre, o por decir, un Dios de su palabra. Él le había dicho, aunque este hombre pecó, aunque Jacob había pecado, él le había dicho a Abraham que él iba a ser padre de muchas naciones. He told him, you were going to be the father of many nations, of a great nation actually, de un pueblo muy grande, de una nación muy grande, que iba a ser innumerable y que no podía ser contado. He said that. So he upheld his promise even though Jacob tried to spoil the plan. Aunque Jacob metió la mano. Pero por causa de la promesa que Dios dice, Dios no miente, God does not lie, he was keeping his promise. Now, he dreamed in his dream about this angel and about all the angels going up and down. Okay? And then God goes on to say, and thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth. And he starts telling him the same thing he told Abraham. And you shall spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. That's huge. It's like you're the father of the earth. That's huge. You don't think that's huge? How big is it to be a mayor of a city? ¿Cuán grande es ser alcalde de una ciudad? Es algo importante, es algo de prestigio.
Nowadays?
Yeah, as a mayor, is it prestigious? Does it have perks? Is it great?
Yeah, it has perks.
Of course it does. Is it prestigious? Yes, it is. It is an elevated place. You're an official. You're in charge of the city. Now, this is a man who was basically being put in charge of the earth. That's huge. Telling you that your people are going to come from you and fill the earth, and all the nations are going to be blessed because you are the father of those nations. That's huge. Eso es algo grande. La promesa que Dios le da a Jacob. Esto no es un alcalde ni gobernador. Es alguien que Dios dice, por causa de ti voy a bendecir. La tierra completa va a ser llena de tu semilla, de tu simiente. Okay, so then, dice, el Señor le sigue diciendo, yo estaré contigo, porque no te dejaré hasta que todo lo que yo te he dicho se cumpla. I'm not going to leave you until everything that I told you is fulfilled and completed. God is giving him a promise. You can always count on God's promises. He's not going to be your friend that says, oh, I forgot. Which can happen to anybody. I forgot. Él no es como un amigo que dice, ay, se me olvidó. Or yeah, I'm going to be there. And then says, oh, I changed my mind. I have other plans. I forgot I had another plan and I changed it. Porque también eso sucede. Que dice la persona, un amigo o alguien que tú conoces, tú hiciste planes con ellos. Ah, bueno, yo tengo que cambiar los planes porque tengo otros planes que hice, se me había olvidado de esos planes. Dios no es así. God is not like that. God says something, you can take it to the bank. You can count on it, it's gonna happen. Guess what? This works both ways. It works for the good, it also works for the bad. So it can become your doing or your undoing. But if he promised something, you better believe it's gonna happen. Él lo que promete lo cumple, sea bueno o sea para lo malo. Si Dios dice voy a destruir algo, Él lo va a destruir. Si Dios dice voy a edificar algo, Él lo va a edificar. You can count on His word. He is never going to let you down. That is why it bothers me and it frustrates me, and I don't understand how you can trade a friend that is that faithful, that loyal, for people that let you down so easily and can turn their back on a moment's notice, the day that they don't like you anymore, or they're sick of you, or they're tired of you, or the day you get in a fight or in a disagreement. That includes husbands and wives. No entiendo cómo la gente reemplazan a Dios, que es una persona, es un ser que su palabra es irrevocable, no cambia, es inigualable, Él es infalible. Él no puede romper sus promesas, Él no puede quebrantar sus promesas. Él cumple todo lo que Él dice. Por una persona que puede ser un amigo, una amistad, un familiar, Tú puedes entrar en una pelea con tu mamá y no hablarle por años. Yo lo he visto personalmente pasar. Hijas no hablarle a sus madres por años y años y años. 20 años han pasado y no han hablado con su madre por una pelea. Una madre que lo parió. Así, tu esposo que tú quieres tanto, tu novio que es el mundo tuyo, en un minuto ustedes pueden tener una pelea y nunca hablarse. Pero Dios es un Dios que no puede ser reemplazado. Su palabra es irrevocable, Él no cambia. Y eso es exactamente lo que dice Jacob. Hasta que yo cumpla en ti lo que yo dije que yo voy a cumplir, yo no voy a dejarte. He said, I'm not leaving you until I fulfill in you what I'm going to do. So Jacob wakes up from his sleep and says, surely the Lord is in this place and I know it not. Y él se despierta y dice, seguramente Jehová ha estado aquí, pero yo no lo sabía. He was afraid. And he says, this is what he said, how dreadful is this place. He said that. Cuando él se despertó, él dice que tenía miedo. La palabra de Dios dice que tuvo temor y que dijo, qué terrible es este lugar. Dreadful in what way? What do you think he meant by that, Alexis? You should be able to answer that. Overwhelmed is a good word. What else? Somebody needs to indulge me and delve into that better, because that's not a full answer.
I think he fell short. So he felt like he shouldn't even be there. He's not worthy to be there in the house of God.
I'm looking for something more. All those things are true. He felt those things. I'm not asking you about what he felt. I'm asking you about why would he say this is a dreadful place with so much. I mean, I'm looking for something more.
Because he saw the power of God and how infinite he was.
Right? All that is right.
I'll say godly fear. It was filled with, it's a good fear.
It's a healthy fear.
Yeah.
You cannot be in the presence of God, in the raw presence of God, and not feel fear. It is an impossibility. You can't even pretend to be brave. Yes, Brianna?
I have a question. Why did he say then that this place is so dreadful?
Because God's presence, God's raw power, when you're in it, like not how we see blessings here, but you know how we're praying for revival? That's what that's about. When God's presence really comes down and revival comes, it won't be all joy. It's not going to be like that. That's later. What's going to happen is the very presence of God is so tangible, so impacting, and he's not a human being. He's beyond what we can think. It is so huge, so much, that all you can do is tremble before it and just say, oh my goodness, his presence is terrible. Not terrible in the way you know the word terrible. The word terrible can be described in different connotations if you look it up in the dictionary. It doesn't mean that it's bad and yucky, I don't like it. It's terrible that it's so strong and scary and huge. To be in the presence of God is something magnificent and awesome, but it will put in you a fear that is huge. Do you understand? Because he is so powerful. You're just human. He is not human. It is supernatural. Our bodies cannot withstand his presence. Nuestros cuerpos como seres humanos no pueden soportar la presencia de Dios. Por eso es que él dice que el lugar es tan terrible. Porque es un temor saludable. ¿Qué me lleva a decirle a ustedes? ¿Cuánto temor tienen ustedes de Dios? Porque él no se ve, porque él no se puede palpar, porque su voz no se oye con estos oídos físicos. Uno puede asumir o pensar que, bueno, él no está aquí, no me está viendo, no es tan gran cosa, el temor no está ahí. Pero deben tener mucho temor siempre de Dios, siempre. Y si no lo tienen, deben orar por él. If you don't have fear of God, the fear of God is something that everyone in this room should always have. In fact, let me rephrase that. The fear of God is something that every person that is living should have. Because God is not a force to be reckoned with. He is a very mighty force, and you do not want to incite his anger. You do not want to provoke him. Some of you continue to provoke him. What will happen? It can happen on this earth, or it can happen in the next life. But you will feel the mighty hand of God, His crushing blow. I promise you. You need to remember, I don't care where you're at and what you do, God's eyes are there. And you should always pray for God to give you a healthy fear of Him. You can love the Lord and be in love with the Lord, but there needs to be fear and respect. It is like your parents. There are things you dare not talk about. I know some of you will not dare talk about in front of your father or your mother. Hay algunas cosas que ustedes ni se atreven a hablar en frente de su padre, porque saben mejor. No se atreven. Anybody wants to contradict that in here? ¿Alguien quiere decirme lo opuesto? It's okay, I'll hear you out. That's what I thought. Right? You don't want him to know. You don't want him to know what you've texted before, what you've said before, what you think in your brain. You don't want them to know. You think that's scary? Because some of you think, I can't even imagine what my mom and my dad will do. They will kill me. Okay, that pales in comparison to what the Lord can do. Eso no ni se compara. Lo que tus padres te pueden hacer, y ustedes algunos son ya más mayorcitos, lo que tu padre, lo que tu novio, lo que una persona que tiene gran estima sepa lo que está en tu mente, lo que ha cruzado por tu mente, lo que has querido hacer, esas cosas que tú has sentido, lo que tú has hecho en secreto, tú no quieres que nadie lo sepa. Pues imagínate, si ustedes creen que ellos se sentirían mal o lo que ellos le harían a ustedes, imagínate lo que Dios le haría. Eso no se puede comparar. Deben siempre orar, Señor, dame temor por ti. Pon temor por ti en mi corazón. Put a fear in my heart for you. It is called respect. That's why, you know why some of you have lost respect for God and fear of God? I can tell on your face. The way you come to church, the way you come actually dressed to church, the way you hang out in your pew, the way there's no reverence. That says everything to me of how you feel about God's presence. It shows me the lack of respect that you have for God. Me enseña a mí, me muestra a mí la falta de respeto, la falta de temor que hay en algunos de ustedes como vienen vestidos a la casa de Dios. This is the house of God. We don't come to the house of God in a t-shirt. How dare you come before the presence of the Almighty who created the world? You wouldn't go in front of the president like that. How are you going to come to God's house in a t-shirt? ¿Cómo vas a venir a la casa de Dios en una camiseta sabiendo que si enfrente de un presidente, un gobernador, tú no te presentas así delante de un rey? Si tú sabes que vas a ir delante de un rey, tú vas a buscar el vestido más bonito, el traje mejor que puedes encontrar. Mami, me tienes que comprar un traje. Mami, me tienes que comprar un vestido. You have to find me a dress, mommy. You have to find me a suit, mom, because I can't go like this. Let's say your prom, which I don't know what you're doing going there, but your special banquet at your school, your honoree, you know, you smarter ones, your awards banquet, you put on the very best. How are you gonna come to God's house in a t-shirt? Or just be all nonchalant, sitting in the pew, hanging out like that, or sitting out any old way. You are in the presence of royalty, of His Majesty. This man had a dream. He didn't even come face to face with God. Él en sí no vio la cara de Dios. Este hombre solo tuvo un sueño. Es lo único que tuvo. Y en ese sueño se dio cuenta. Oh my goodness. El sueño mismo lo asustó de la presencia de Dios. Porque Dios le estaba tratando de decir algo a través del sueño. God was trying to tell him something through the dream. Now, he says, Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, I will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace. Then shall the Lord be my God. Jacob dice una promesa. Bueno, si Dios va a estar conmigo, si él me da de comer, si Él me viste y me hace volver a casa de mi padre en paz, Él será mi Dios. ¿Ok? Ahora una referencia muy importante. Dios se aparece a él en Betel. By the way, what does Bethel mean? ¿Qué significa la palabra Betel? No. No.
The house of God, I mean.
The bird?
Let's hear Bethel mean house of God.
House of God. Betel significa casa de Dios. He knew he was in God's presence. That's why he named it that. Okay, so God appears to Jacob and at Bethel. Now, you may ask, why would God appear to Jacob when Jacob is a deceiver? He is scum. You could think that because he did a lot. He he didn't do one thing. He was a manipulator. He did so many things wrong. Yes.
But you have to commend him because Jacob always wanted the blessing. When he was coming out of the womb of his mother, it's like he wanted to come out first. He grabbed the foot of his brother.
Yes.
He wrestled with God, with the angel. You know,
That
he
comes later.
wrestled. Yeah, he did this with
But
his brother.
let's start with the beginning.
I know, but that's
His
just
beginning was wrong, Stephen. It doesn't justify the ends do not justify the means. He acted wrong. You cannot condone what he did. Now, yes, that he was cunning. Yes, of
for
course
the
he was.
blessing though. For
No,
something.
no. He was a manipulator because he was looking out for his own interest. He didn't want to serve God. His purpose was not to serve God. You can be ambitious. You can be, él dice que hay que darle como
Mérito.
mérito, thank you, o crédito a Jacob porque él siempre estaba buscando la bendición. Yo le dije, sí, pero eso no justifica lo que él hizo. Los medios que él usó para conseguir la bendición no son justificadas. Número uno. Número dos, él no está buscando la bendición de Dios. Él está buscando ser bendecido para prosperar. No es hasta después que Dios lo parte, lo quebranta a él, que él entonces quiere servir a Dios. Porque lo dice. If you do this for me, that's another thing. Think about it.
Yo creo que de todo lo que pasa, todo ese transcurso, todo ese camino que pasa, a pesar de cometer este pecado, él al final reconoce quién es Dios.
Correcto, pero eso,
Y Dios obra en él.
por eso es lo que yo iba a decir ahora. Pero él está diciendo que del principio lo que él hizo hay que darle su mérito. Yo entiendo lo que él quiere decir. I understand what you're trying to say. Él era muy astuto, muy inteligente, pero las razones, los intereses, los motivos de él no eran los correctos. Al principio, in the beginning, his motives are wrong. Therefore, it does not justify what he did at all. He was wrong. He manipulated his parents, deceived an old man who's his father, and just to get a blessing for himself, and then sold his birth. And before that, he sold his birthright by taking advantage of his brother's weakness. There is no merit in that whatsoever, none. That he was ambitious, great. But how many people in this world, are ambitious and step all over each other just to get to the top? That makes it okay? Oh, you're the president of the company, great, good. All right, how many people did you step on? Not everybody, but there are people that step on other people to get there. How does that make it right?
Yeah, no, but I think that the promise still had to be fulfilled.
Stop.
And that had to be done.
Stop. I'm gonna tell you right now. Wait, lower your arm. I'll call you now. You're right, but you could say the same thing about Judas. So then Judas did what he did was right because it was foretold that he was going to be betrayed. You make choices. You. It could have been fulfilled another way. Why did it have to be fulfilled that way? Why? Why did it have to be fulfilled in a deceitful way? So you're saying that God justifies the deceit because he had. Because there was a means to an end? Quickly, Brittany, because there's no 5 minutes. They already told me that.
I was reading it last night. The only reason that he was even still blessed, that God fulfilled the blessing,
because what?
His father and his grandfather, by faith,
Correct.
blessed him, and God
Correct.
fulfilled his promise to
But
them.
not only
because
that,
of Jacob.
not only that, God chose him because in the end, what Indira said,
Right, yeah,
he
later.
yielded to God.
Right.
God broke him.
But
That's when God
before
started
that-
using him. But before that, he was fleeing.
Right.
He had to run. Who cares you got the blessing, but you're running away? You can't enjoy a blessing if you're not there to enjoy it. He had to run away. So what's the point? What blessing? What birthright? You can't even be there to enjoy it. Where's the land? Where's the land? ¿Dónde? O sea, él estaba corriendo con la bendición, pero no la tenía, porque tenía que huir. ¿Cuándo fue que Dios lo empezó a bendecir? Cuando él, como tú dijiste, al final reconoció y Dios lo quebrantó. Y cuando él se dio a la voluntad de Dios, Dios entonces lo comenzó a bendecir. Pero él pagó, he paid. Remember later, you forget. He fell in love with a woman and had to serve 14 years for her. He paid. And he still had to flee from his brother. He couldn't go back home. Okay, Lord, I'm sorry, I'm going back home. There's a lot of consequences of the way he did it. Just because God promised something doesn't mean you're allowed to do any plan you want to get to it. You understand? It's really important you understand that. Just because God said, okay, you're going to be the next president, doesn't mean that you're allowed to rig the election. You get it? David was anointed to be the next king. David could have done a lot of things before his time. David paid his time. He waited. He hid in caves. He had to run from Saul. And he had an army next to him. He could have invaded Saul. He had the weapons. But he waited. Because it wasn't the right time. Do you understand? No? You're not sure?
Just then, how else would God confronted him?
How do you know? You're not in God's mind. How do you know the plan that God had?
God has a plan for
God has a perfect plan for everything. He stuck his hand in the pot. The way that it came out in the end was because God's blessing was going to carry out. God's going to find a way. But the way he did it, not justified. God will never justify sins as an end to a means. Never. Ever. Absolutely not. Because then we have to justify Judas.
Right.
Why Judas?
Yeah,
It was foretold.
any of the
It was foretold.
Yeah.
But Judas picked. Judas missed.